walk the winter's beach, I've so little to remember. The year is growing old, already it's December.
So, Julie, thanks for joining us on Billboard today. You first came to England in the 60s,
Yes.
1964?
Yeah, I think I actually came in '63, and my first album was released in '64.
Okay. But before that, you've been touring Europe?
Well, I was kind of just a beatnik. I was just wandering around. I wasn't actually counting on being a professional singer. I just sort of ran out of money, and so I started singing in bars and restaurants and sort of made my way around. And then and I came to visit a friend in London, and then some Scottish folk singers that I met in Germany took me along to a folk club, and I sang some songs. And there was a guy called Bruce Dunnett, and he made a tape, and he took it to David Platts at Essex Music, and David took it to Hugh Mendel at Decca Records, and they just sort of talked to me, and it was when Baez and Dylan were kind of coming to the fore, and I was the first folk singer to sign with a major label, so that sort of like opened up the future.
The whole world of folk for people, yeah.
I'm not lonely, I'm not lonely, I'm not lonely.
I think one of your early influences, not so much for your music, but your lifestyle, was some of the beat poets like Jack Kerouac.
Yeah, I mean, that was why I kind of wanted to travel. It was definitely Jack Kerouac on the road that influenced me to just go and taste life, because growing up in Southern California, I was kind of isolated. I'd been to Mexico to see my family, my grandparents, but I'd never been to anywhere else. So I just wanted to go to Europe and see the rest of the world.
Now, I understand your father was a big early influence on your music.
Yes, well, my father was born and raised in Mexico, in Sonora, and he came to the States in his late teens. And he became a mariachi musician, and he could play the guitar, the accordion, and the piano. But he always played music, and he taught me. Well, my mother gave me a ukulele once, and I started the ukulele. I couldn't play it, so my dad taught me to play that. And then when I was in high school, I was 17, and somebody wanted me to accompany them on the guitar, and so I asked my dad to show me the other two strings, and so he taught me, and then I started playing, and I play at parties and fun. People would say, "Come to my party and bring your guitar." So I became quite popular with the parties when I was at university.
While the young people's blood flows out of their bodies and's lost in the mud, you've thrown the worst fear.
And of course, those sort of influences were there in your most well-known record and hit in "If I Could," which I think everyone remembers you for.
Yeah, that was the first record I made with Mickey Most. It was really,
at DK.
It was really. It was great working with him. Before that, I was just put in a little box and told to sing, and then they all the musicians. And Mickey brought me into the mixing room and listened to different tracks, and it was before all the digital stuff, so you had to do a mix, and I was like mixing it, and it was so exciting.
I'd rather be a hammer than a nail. Yes, I would. If I only could, I surely would.
On your travels, you also met someone who I think became a lifelong friend, and that's Leonard Cohen.
Yeah. I was just thinking, apparently there's just a film that's come out about Marianne and Leonard. And I know they came and interviewed me once, but I didn't know if it was part of the thing or not. But my friends wrote me and said that, that I am part. So I'm really touched because Marianne was a dear friend of mine as well,
yeah.
and to lose them both in the same year was really devastating.
Yeah.
But yes, when I left America, when I told you that I left America, I went across to New York with my friend, and we took a boat to Patras in Greece, and her brother was living on the island of Hydra with his partner, so they met us there, and then we took a little kaiki over to Hydra, and there were several writers and painters. They were all very creative people. It wasn't it was before package days and all that. And I met this young poet called Leonard Cohen, and he used to borrow my Mexican guitar that my dad gave me when I left, and he would sing union songs. So he wasn't writing his own songs, and I wasn't either. I mean, we just sort of sang some songs together, and then when I met him a couple of times on the continent, and then when he became a musician and a songwriter, he sent me his album, and that's just when I had done the Frost Report, and that's just when I started my own series, and so I talked to Stanley Dorfman, and he said, yeah, let's put him on the show. So that was the first time he'd ever been on television in Europe.
Now it's come to distances that both of us must try. Your eyes are soft with sorrow.
Hey, that's no way to say goodbye.
My series was the first in color, and anywhere, it was on the BBC, and they needed the tape because it was very expensive in those days. So all of the shows are wiped. It's just such a tragedy. I had, people like Tim Buckley, Dusty Springfield, and Richard Harris, and Spike Milligan.
All the songs they sing, they wrote themselves. They're Robin and Mike, the incredible string band.
Also, before your own show, you were part of probably the most avant-garde piece of television at the time with David Frost.
Yeah.
And this sort of juxtaposition between the traditional folk and this sort of avant-garde TV show, it was really interesting.
Yeah, well, it was because up to then they had used jazz singers, Millicent Martin, and when they were doing the pilot for the Frost Report, they used a jazz singer and me, but then they decided to go with the folk thing, and they said that each program would be a different subject, and they said, like, we're going to have one on education. Do you know any songs on education? And I thought of Tom Paxton's, what did you learn in school today?
Yeah.
So luckily I got in there at the right time.
Zoo, zoo, how about you? You can come too. We're going to the zoo. Mama's taking us to the zoo tomorrow. Mama's taking us to the zoo.
And I had it was a live show, and I had no idea because I hadn't really done very much television at all before that, and I never realized that when we were actually in the studio that millions of people were watching, so it was quite mind-blowing.
Yeah. And after your success during the 60s and 70s and early 80s with an album every year and various singles, you stopped.
Yeah, I got a bit fed up with the sort of commercial side of everything, and so I stopped singing, and I went back to California for a while, and I got involved with yoga and meditation, those things of sort of soul searching, and then I went on I lived in Norway for a year before that, and they were organizing a peace march in Central America because that was the time when the Sandinistas were legally elected government, and Ronald Reagan was trying to bring them down because they were a socialist government. They're still doing the same thing today.
I just want you to know I can see through your masks. You that never done nothing.
So when I got back from that march, I decided there was still a lot to sing about. So I came back to England and started singing.
But you started singing about things that were important to you rather than just commercial songs then.
Well, yeah, but I think I always sort of did, but in a more, not in such a personal experience of it. You know, like I sang Masters of War in 1964, because, you know, that was Vietnam and everything. I mean, we were all against the war, but the personal contact that I experienced in Central America was very influential.
Yeah. And you also sort of, behind your music, you also discovered a more spiritual side to life.
I went to Glastonbury, and I went into a bookshop there called the Gothic Image, and the owner, Jamie George, lovely man, said that he took tours of magical Britain, and it was basically around the Arthurian legends. And would I come and be the resident troubadour? And I thought that sounded really fun, because they went to Scotland, they went to Cornwall, and places that I hadn't been. I learned about earth mysteries and the power of the land. And then I really got to find out that there was a whole history of matriarchal influences that had been erased. You know, we said God the Father, God. They said, somebody said, they decided God was a man, then all men decided they were God. And then I found out from the goddess movement that the female deity was worshipped, you know, all, especially in Wales and Ireland.
There's a woman who lives in the desert. There's a woman who dwells in the night. You can hear her moving in the shadows. See her shadow in the pale moonlight.
So how do you view the world now compared with the world as it was in the 60s when we grew up?
Well, there was a lot more optimism in the 60s. In the 60s, we were concerned, we wanted to change the world. Now I just go, oh my God, you know, what's going to happen? And I mean, I'm still singing and still praying and still doing my rituals to try to bring good energy into the world.
Rather be a sparrow than a snake.
So I don't think anyone can get their head around the idea that you recently celebrated your 80th birthday.
Well, I recently celebrated my 81st birthday.
Yeah, but you had a big celebration.
Yeah, a great big celebration. Yeah, that was really great.
What did you do?
Well, I had a concert in London, and my friend John Paul Jones, he was a bass player with Led Zeppelin, and he's a good, really dear friend. I've known him for years, and he came and played mandolin on 4 or 5 songs with me. It was just beautiful. And then at the end, we all got together, and John playing and Madeline, and we sang Forever Young together, and it was just magic. It was just, you know, we really had so much fun, and the audience did too. So that was, so now I'm heading for my 90th.
Well, I mean, you're 82 now?
No, 81.
81, sorry.
Don't make me worse, it's bad enough.
I'll cut that bit out.
1938 I was born.
Yeah. So you're 81 now. Last night you were gigging?
Yeah, and the night before I was gigging.
Yeah. Today you're in a recording studio?
Yeah.
What keeps you going?
Well, I think a lot of it is the music. You know, people ask me about that, and I really come to appreciate it much more than I did when I was younger. And I think that anybody that is involved creatively, they kind of have a source to the creator. And so whether you're in music or painting or doing the gardening, something that really takes all your being to get involved with it, I think that keeps you young. So I invite everybody to go out and be creative.
Well, Julie, you're a great inspiration to people of my generation that grew up with you when you were in the 60s, and a great inspiration to the new generation of young people and folk singers. Thanks for joining us on Billboard.
I'd rather be a forest than a street. Yes, I would. If I could, I surely would. I'd rather feel the earth beneath my feet. Yes, I would, if I only could. I surely would.